All right, that was the background report by Hamidu for us. We thank you, Hamidu. Let's quickly begin our introductions. We have right here in the studio an Islamic scholar. It's a familiar face, and good morning, Nigeria, Abubakar Sadiq Mohammed. We're glad to have you. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you for having me.
And then we also have here with us in the studio Reverend Father Sevenus Ameje. He is the priest of the Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja and director of Radio Maria, also here in Abuja. Father Ame, once again, good to see you with us.
Yeah.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you and Merry Christmas to all Nigerians. Good morning.
All right, also joining us for the conversation from our Kaduna studio is Dr. Sally Momale, the Peace Commission Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State. Many thanks for joining us and good morning, Nigeria, sir.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Go ahead.
All right, so let's get into the conversation now. We're talking about national cohesion, and I'd like to start with the Reverend Father Silvanus Ame-Eje. How would you describe the state of, if you like, national cohesion, in this country at the moment, and then I would like if you can give comparison, where we used to be, where we are now, and maybe what the likely factors responsible for where you think where we are now is.
Thank you. I think that we could be better. The situation could be better than it is currently. When I look back to when I was far younger, a little boy, and now, things are not the same anymore. I was born and raised in Kaduna. We grew up people of different religions and different ethnic backgrounds, and it was a lot easier to live. At festive periods like this, like Christmas, regardless of whether you are Christian, Muslims, our mothers will give us food. Take to this neighbor, take to that neighbor. That's how we grew. And the Muslim children will join us on the street to go house to house to say Merry Christmas, like that. Same with Salah. We were not Muslims, but we had our kaftans that we wear and join the Muslim children when they come back from the mosques. And it was all jolly good. And we also didn't make that differentiation of who is from Kaduna, who is from Ebonyi, who is from Ondo. We just grew up like that. And we saw ourselves as people, as Nigerians, as human beings, as friends. That's the Nigeria I was born into. That's the Nigeria I grew up in. But today, the story is far different, because there's tension now between people of different ethnic origins, people of different religions, and it is just not good. More and more we see people who are not from our own side of the divide as they being on the other side, and we here on this other side, and that's not cool. My nephew was posted to Ebonyi to go and do his youth service, and he's asking to be redeployed back to Abuja. He was born in Abuja, primary secondary school, university, Abuja. He has never been out of Abuja for up to 2 months, and the first opportunity that he gets to go and have an experience of another people, another culture, he wants to stay back in Abuja. And we said, no, young man, go there, have another worldview, have another experience, meet another people, and you will come back better. These are the kind of things that drive national cohesion. But largely, I think that what has caused this tension are three. We have put politics as a dividing factor. We have put religion as a dividing factor, and we have also put ethnicity as a dividing factor. These are not things that should divide us ordinarily. Okay, because as we say, there's beauty and unity in diversity.
Very, very good, Father Ame. Let me take off or draw my question from the values of Christmas.
Okay.
I mean, we are still in the festive season.
True.
Can you give us a nexus between Christmas and national cohesion? Are there values in Christmas that should or ought to promote national cohesion?
Yes, there is. And the very reason we celebrate Christmas is a reason that can bring all of us together. We say Jesus is the reason for the season. And the reason for Christmas is tied to the Bible in John 3:16. God loved the world and he gave his son. In loving, God gave. And Jesus is God's love personified. And if we celebrate the love of God at Christmas, God expects that we extend that love to one another. If I love you, I will watch out for your good. I will not do anything that will hurt you. And if we love ourselves truly, as human beings created in the image and the likeness of God, then we will have a greater bond. There will be greater unity between us and there will be no divisions.
All right. Many thanks, Reverend Father. Abubakar Sadiq Muhammad, you are an Islamic scholar, and you heard the Reverend Father, talk about, some of the things that Christmas, teaches, and what we're supposed to imbibe. So in the same line, he talked about his, experience growing up and some of the factors he thinks are responsible, for where we are at the moment in terms of national cohesion. Could you share your own experience with us, and then do you agree, that there's division at the moment, and then do you agree with some of the factors he has outlined?
I agree totally with what the Reverend has said, and I will not repeat those points that he has mentioned. I totally agree. Growing up, how we recognized ourselves. I'm a little bit older than maybe the Reverend, but even then, even at his own time, things were as they were during our own time. I grew up incidentally in Kaduna as well, and in a compound that had almost Nigeria, because various tribes and nationalities, if you please, they were there, and we mingled together. So that was how it was, and of course, as he has said rightly, things have changed. I hope in the spirit of Christmas, those Nigerians that felt things were so bad and would not want to stay in the country would, in the spirit of Christmas, share that love with the country and remain. Because as we are talking, people felt disillusioned. When he stated what, during his time and during our own time, people were, the opportunities were there. Because for cohesion, I have to belong. I have to be part of that system. I have to be accepted as I am. The opportunities that are given to others should be given to me. We all know that the younger ones, when they finish school, that is in spite of the incessant closures, the opportunities for jobs are not there. When the young people are saying we need employment and the government is ready to give opportunity to people, some people who are responsible for that part of our national advancement have cornered it to a selected few. When we say there are no job opportunities, they are there. Now we know they are for the highest bidder. Whether we like it or not is the truth. If you have the money, you'll be employed. Why? And people in high places are always receiving correspondences from people in the government establishments to bring names, 2, 3, 4 at a time for employment. But the children of the less privileged are not part of that. So some people thought, well, I don't belong. So they prefer to move out. What is more alarming is the fact that trained professionals, doctors, people in the medical industry or medical field are leaving. The Nigerian Medical Association is complaining of. About 50% of its members have found their ways outside. All the university teaching hospitals in the country are complaining. One state in the north, and I will not mention, has only 112 doctors in its register for payment. Everybody has gone. Unfortunately, many are willing to go. They see that it is better to leave. And what do we do to make sure? That's why I said, in the spirit of Christmas, as everybody is coming back to Nigeria to celebrate Christmas, it's now that people know that I'm a Nigerian and I want to come back to Nigeria and say, so in that spirit, please let the government and whoever is responsible give some confidence to these people. They belong. They are part and parcel of the nation. I heard that the president has gone to some countries trying to speak to Nigerians to come back. I think that is good. So in the spirit of Christmas, when they come, they should find ways of staying here and making it better for us.
Mohammed, thank you. Thank you for the points that you have raised. You have put so many ingredients in this soup. So, as we go on, we'll take one touch them one by one. But let me bring Dr. Saleh Momale here in the course of our conversation. Dr. Momale, I mean, it's obvious that almost all religions, especially the two major religions, have values that promote or encourage national cohesion. But when you look at the nature of our society, that's the nature of the country, highly heterogeneous, one wonders if it's possible to actually achieve a national cohesion where you have such diverse ethnic and religious diversities.
Thank you very much, and may I begin by wishing the Christian community in Nigeria and globally very happy Christmas celebrations. For us here in Kaduna State, we are very pleased that the events are ongoing very peacefully, and we also hope that this will be continued throughout this festive season and throughout 2024. I will also go ahead to say thank you so much, the Nigerian Television Authority, for continuously bringing this topical national issue on the discourse. I think it's one of the greatest things that the Nigerian media will do to this country to promote these sort of discourses that will enable increased understanding amongst our citizens on the need for peaceful, harmonious, and cohesive coexistence. The two earlier speakers have brought in very valuable contributions to this, and I do hope that the Nigerian policymakers and those that influence the minds and hearts of Nigerians are listening to this discourse and are taking some of these contributions very seriously. Like you said, Nigeria is a highly heterogeneous, multi-ethnic, multi-religious nation. And achieving unity, cooperation is a huge task for such societies. But again, we have experiences all over the world. And in this country, we were as heterogeneous and as diverse as we are today 50, 60 years ago, 30 years ago, when the two earlier speakers said Nigeria was highly cohesive, there was great unity in diversity, there was sufficient interaction among the various ethnic and religious groups. There was respect and social harmony amongst ourselves. So it was the same Nigeria that achieved that in the past. And I do believe that if we work together, we'll be able to overcome the current challenges and revert back and even stronger from where we are. Again, experiences elsewhere have shown us that even societies that have one faith or one ethnic group may not necessarily live in peace once those essential ingredients of social cohesion are not positively pursued and implemented. It's sad that we always give this example, but it's a practical situation. For example, if we take the case of Somalia as a case study, in Africa, Somalia is one of the most countries with the highest concentration of one ethnic group almost in the whole of the country, the Somalis. They belong in all of Africa. There is no country in Africa where a single religion makes up to 90 or even 95% of the population of the country except Somalia. They are largely a single country with largely a single even sect of the religion in which they belong. Yet, it's one of the most divided countries in Africa. So I think this is a clear message that diversity is not the driver of lack of cohesion, but rather those practices, the policies, the ways of thinking, and the kind of orientation that the citizens are exposed to are those that define how cohesive or otherwise the society is. Nigeria, from the colonial period up to the immediate post-independence Nigeria, enjoyed a robust leadership that promoted inclusion, like Malan Sadiq earlier mentioned, that promoted all of these religions to have equal rights, like the Reverend earlier mentioned. And all of these are essential ingredients in orienting citizens. Like the Reverend earlier mentioned, the negative politicking that tried to capitalize on ethnic and religious differences for the purpose of gaining votes has contributed enormously in where we find ourselves. And the fact that a number of religious preachers with little understanding of the complexities and nature of the religion, without deeper theological understanding of the principles of the Islamic and the Christian faiths, have also contributed in creating a lot of polarity within our nation. The country, in terms of policies, have recognized the need for inclusiveness. And I think these were some of the reasons for putting up the Federal Character Commission, the even representative nature in the national assemblies, in the state houses of assemblies, the creation of local governments and the creation of states to broaden the level of inclusiveness in the governance of the country and in providing opportunities. However, I think the political class, the top technocrats that took over the leadership of this country some years ago, misapplied these principles, and that contributed in some of the exclusions we are witnessing today. So we do believe strongly that if our media, the Nigerian media, our educational systems, the National Orientation Agency, the National Youth Service Corps, and many of the institutions that contribute in shaping the mind and hearts of Nigerians, and here I am referring to our religious leaders of the two major faiths, the Christian faith and the Islamic faith. If we come together and work with our traditional rulers and traditional institutions across the country, we'll be able to rekindle and reshape the thinking of our young and emerging populations, educate them, and give them the wisdom, the benefits, like the Reverend earlier said, the benefits of diversity, the wisdom in diversity, and the great benefits that Nigeria stands to benefit from this diversity. We will go back to where we were.
Dr. Momale, very, very beautiful points you have raised there in your response to that question. And that leads me to Reverend Father AJ again, who is right here in the studio. You listened to Dr. Momale, and you heard Abubakar Sadiq Muhammad earlier, of course, talking about, the issues as regards national cohesion in this country. I like the example that he gave. about the fact that, diversity necessarily shouldn't necessarily bring about division.
True.
There are places where you have one ethnic group and yet you still have a lot of issues. And some people think that, the ethnic groups in this country, the religious bodies in this country are not really the problem. But the issue is, like Abubakar was trying to mention, social justice, impunity, corruption are the main factors that have brought about this division, along these other lines we have mentioned, religious, ethnic, or whatever other divisions you want to talk about. Now, when we talk about social justice, now it cuts across all ethnic groups. The situation, like he has said, the poor man of someone from the north or from the south, you cannot get a job, all of that, playing out. How would you want to see that, perception as regards the problem that we face in this country as regards cohesion?
When we talk about cohesion, we are talking about the presence of peace and mutual understanding and mutual acceptance of everybody around our environment, regardless of where they are from, what political affiliations they have, what religious faith they adhere to. It does not matter. And it is not possible to talk about peace without talking about justice. Justice is the foundation upon which peace is built. Where there is no justice, there will be agitations. And when there is agitation, we can't be talking about cohesion. It's not possible. So, if we must talk about cohesion as a nation, we must do all within, excuse me, we must do all within our power, all that is necessary to promote the cause of social justice. The agitations we've seen rising from different parts of the country, some of them are born out of the feeling, like Malam Sadiq said, that people are feeling excluded, people are feeling neglected. I am a part of this whole entity called Nigeria. I have rights, I have privileges as a citizen of this country. Why deny me those rights? Why deny me those privileges? If for some reasons I have done something that by law I should be denied certain things, that's understandable, but not an entire class of people denied things that ordinarily should be due them. These are reasons why people begin to agitate. And like I said, if we must preach this cohesion and preach peace, we must address the issues of social justice. We can't be talking about cohesion without it. The late Pope John XXIII wrote an encyclical, Pacem in Terris, and this is one of the major things that he said. Across the world, we cannot talk about peace without addressing the matter of justice. So it is important that we begin to look at all of these factors. If there is something that is due to a community, let them have it. As long as it is something that should come to them. But nevertheless, even when there are these kind of denials here and there, the best way to ask for such things is not by violence. And this is one of the things that will make this cohesion we're talking about impossible when there is violence. I've always said, and I always believe, that a lot can be resolved on the table of dialogue. When we come to the table of dialogue, we're able to express our viewpoints, we're able to express how we feel, we also understand better the other person's perspective, and that way we can come to an understanding and make things work.
Right, thank you. Let's bring in now Mohammed. We talk about national cohesion, and the one word that everybody is talking about, and which also runs in the minds of many Nigerians, is the word peace. And during festivities, clerics enjoin adherents to pray for peace and unity. But peace, in actual fact, is not necessarily the absence of war. It is when a country is able to provide the needs, other needs, but economic and social political needs of the people. So within this context, I'd like for you to put into perspective what are those things that defines or should define a country's national cohesion.
Well,
because he's just talked about social justice.
Yeah, and I think I would take a lead from what he has said, if I understood the question correctly.
Yes.
That is, you cannot have peace without justice. And where did we miss the point? How did we come to this point? Can I, as a son of nobody, be wronged by an arm of the state and still have justice? Can I approach the court of law without any social standing and still be treated fairly and justly? Can I have equal opportunity like any other person in anything and still be treated as a Nigerian? So once I do not have that, there will be agitations, as he has said.
Justice in this sense will be generic. I mean, justice in the sense that you are able to, achieve what will have equal opportunity.
Yes.
Justice in the sense that you can have, equal bargaining power.
Yes.
To be able to, if you want to own a house, for instance, you are able to do so.
Yeah.
Yes. So please go ahead. I just wanted to expand that.
Yes. So can I have that as a Nigerian? Something is missing somewhere. I talked about the issue of employment. Employment is there, but who access that except where you belong to certain class of people? And the same people that we deny those opportunities today are looking at us, and things are growing in a negative way in the minds of people, and it's a time bomb. So the sooner such issues are addressed, the better. I also mentioned the issue of people not having any confidence in what we do as a country, or to even remain as citizens in the country. So really we should find ways of addressing what they see as bad governance, what they see as unfulfilled promises by politicians when they go to them and speak to them during elections. What happens after election? The president is trying. The president is trying with this renewed hope and addressing all these issues. But really he needs help from each and every one of us so that we would propagate this and advance whatever the government is planning for the country. Otherwise, people's confidence will still be low, and they would not feel as if they are part and parcel of this country.
Confidence.
Right. Okay, sorry. I wanted to ask. Sorry, I wanted to ask Dr. Sally Momale to also weigh in on this issue of talking about justice in a very generic, broad sense. Some would argue that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria already, has already taken care of that, in the sense that it is provided, for equal justice, for the welfare and protection of every Nigerian, and opportunity for every Nigerian, irrespective of your tribe or religion.
Okay, thank you so much. I think, like you rightly said, the systems, the procedures, the laws of the country are very inclusive, and they have made provision for every Nigerian in an equal manner to ensure social justice, to ensure that every Nigerian is protected by law, and the Constitution has adequately addressed that. But constitutional provisions sometimes may be a bit different from the practice, what actually exists on the ground. However, I want to separate possibly two things. There is the general perceptions of what exists, and there is the reality of possibly what also exists on the ground. Again, there may be differences from one local environment to another local environment, from one local context to another context within the country. So having a very generic overview of the entire situation all over the country may be a bit problematic, but generally speaking, there are huge challenges of ensuring social justice. There are challenges of ensuring the provision and protection of lives and properties of Nigerian citizens. There are challenges with growing the economy and giving our numerous young population opportunities to grow, to get employed, and to have employments or enterprises that will give them a decent living and a decent livelihood. Again, the work environment, the wage structure, the payments or the remuneration system, not only within the public sector, but even the private sector, is far, far, far away from the reality of the day-to-day living of Nigerians. So these combined factors tend to create a total feeling that the government or the governance system is not ensuring social justice, but the government is weak and ineffective in addressing the needs of the citizens. These are realities that are there on the ground. On the other hand, if we look at the Nigerian economy, the level of resources at the disposal of government, both at the federal, state, and local government levels, vis-a-vis, compared with the needs of the citizens, compared with the need of the diverse populations, compared with the state of development of the country, the available resources at the disposal of government is far too low to address these needs. Then, rather than the political class, the political leadership to mobilize and engage the Nigerian citizens and create the right awareness, pass the right information, they try to maneuver and manipulate the process so that they do not become politically unpopular. So that's why politicians have to go out to make wild promises without commensurate resources existing to meet these promises. And therefore, there are always false expectations. There are always promises during campaigns that cannot be met for any elected official once he gets to the office. I recently had one of the senators, in fact, the senator representing the Federal Capital Territory, saying that the reality of what they found vis-a-vis of what they expected is far too different. And, very honestly and frankly, he was engaging the citizens of the Federal Capital Territory to come to terms with the reality and to support the government and understand the limitations and challenges they are facing. I think this is a very positive move. And if our political leadership, right from the local governments, at the state levels, at the federal level, will come out sincerely and honestly and tell Nigerians this is the situation of the ground. This is what we expect from you as citizens. And they also become a little bit more transparent, more honest in the management of the national, state, and local government resources. I think we will see a significant departure from what we are witnessing today. But what we are seeing today, there are a lot of perceptions of injustice, there are a lot of perceptions of exclusion, which in reality may not be exactly as they are being perceived when you carry out the detailed analysis within each location, within every context. So I think our political class have to engage with the media, with the Nigerian young populations, and the general populace to see how best we can address these challenges and come to terms with the current realities in the country and try to create very harmonious social, economic, political, and judicial systems, including a more robust law enforcement system that will give Nigerians a sense of belonging and that will reignite patriotism, commitment to the nation, and cohesive coexistence.
Dr. O'Malley, but I'm going to stay with you because of some of the comments you made in the course of answering this question and the previous question. You did say, that, a senator was saying, well, what they expected is not what they met and all of that. But the average Nigerian, I would want to disagree with you on that because they don't, feel, those at the leadership position, trying to squeeze themselves, if truly what they met is not what they expected, like they ask Nigerians, to do. Or if they ask the average man on the street to do. So, the average Nigerian wants to see it coming from the top. If truly there's droughts in terms of financial situation of this country, they want to see those at the top, also trying to say, okay, I'm going to cut down this, we're going to do this, the spendings and all of that, the number of aids that they have, the kind of travels they're engaged in, the kind of vehicles they acquire, and all of that. So, they want to see it come from top, to bottom, not the bottom-top approach like they're trying to take. That's one. Then in your first question, in your response, you said education is a way out. Do you really think education will help, this issue of national cohesion if the issue of social justice is not fixed? I say that because, the young generation, the young class, the Gen Zs, they don't want to hear you talk about it's going to be better tomorrow. They want to see it happen now. They don't want you to school them about the national anthem or the words in the pledge. They want to see, those at the top show those examples, and then they follow. So could you please respond, to some of these thoughts, that I have about, your responses so far?
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh,
dear. Dr. Malley, a double-barrel question for you.
He's back. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Please, Malley.
He's definitely going to answer the question, but
yes. Okay. Sheikh Siddiq, you want to attempt that because yes.
I agree with most of what she has mentioned, because if you say that you have now discovered certainly that what you thought was there was not there, and that people should understand, we should see that from you, from the number of convoys in the cars in your convoy, from the way you conduct your life, and so on, the way your family conducts itself, is what schools your children are studying, and so on. You can't tell people to cut the expenses because there are no money, and yours has not changed. Your life has not has as a leader, we should see that example in you first.
But the context, the senator made that was quite different. Okay. She was talking about the procedures, the technicalities, and all that surrounds the process of legislating. So her perspective before entering the Senate was probably different from what she observed. Yes, I don't think she meant the other aspects, material aspects, that our leaders are known to, the exorbitant aspect. Our leaders are known to exhibit.
Yeah, but if that
so I think we must just allow that. But the context of your question still remains a factor.
Yes.
Yes, I wanted us to clear that. Are you done?
Yes, I am.
Father Ame, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I want to agree with her thoughts on Dr. Saleh's responses. True that the context in which Senator Reti made that comment is a bit different, but nevertheless, concerning the responses of Dr. Saleh, an average Nigerian does not believe Nigeria is poor. Yeah. I am one of them. Nigeria is not poor. Nigeria is not poor. And I can say that again, Nigeria is not poor. But what we are seeing is a consequence of improper management of resources. Resources are limited, yes. The needs are many, yes. But if we properly manage the resources that are at our disposal, we will have a better Nigeria. Our young people and our professionals fleeing the country, this Japa syndrome we talk about, it is people, it's not like they are looking for more money, but I think that they are fleeing from a country that they think will devour them if they stay back. Dr. Sadiq made mention of that a couple of times. And if our resources are properly harnessed towards the goals of the nation in providing social infrastructure and meeting social and economic needs, we won't be having that. So the problem, I think, is arrogance, financial arrogance and financial extravagance, that we have things that are supposed to be targeted towards specific goals, but then they are used wrongly. Let me share an example with you. In 2020, when we were experiencing the whole COVID saga, it was difficult for many parishes to pay their staff. And we had an economic team meeting in Abuja here. And the Archbishop said, we need to cut down. We need to cut down on our expenses. And it affected staff working because the means was not there. And he said something that was very, very important. He said, we as the clergy, the priests, we must be at the forefront of cutting down. And what did he do? He cut down it was not him as a person. That team decided that every priest must cut, the allowances of priests must be cut down to be able to attend to other needs. So it is not like we're now asking people working in the churches and our institutions to say our times are hard because of COVID, so we are cutting down on expenses and salaries, and we, the priests, who should be leaders, are still where we are. He said no, and we all agreed with him. So that's something that we need to look at. Like she said, we can't be talking about a bottom-top approach. We should be looking at a top-bottom approach. As the head is, that is how the body will follow. The body will align. That's something that we need to look at.
Can I add something there?
Yes, in just a few seconds, sir, because we need to take a sponsored break now.
Okay, maybe after the break.
Okay, so let's quickly take the break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation.
Peace in Southeast Project PISP. Peace is better. Umunem anyimano dokama.
Welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA, and we're still talking about promoting national cohesion. Our guests are still very much with us, and before the break, Reverend Father AJ responded, to the question raised, and Abubakar Sadiq was about to make his own comments about some of the submissions of the Reverend Father.
I wanted to remind the Reverend that the responsibility is for the religious leaders to also give some direction and to keep preaching to the people on personal responsibility on issues. When the former regime introduced the Anchor Borrowers program to help small-scale farmers, smallholder farmers, to have some sense of belonging and to have some economic power, to increase food production. That program, and I agree with you that maybe the country is not as poor as it's been projected. 1.4 trillion, not billion, 1.4 trillion was disbursed in that program to farmers around the country. And that loan was given at 5% interest rate. Not 25% of that money was returned.
Exactly. So
these people that government was trying to help, they took in the money.
The first question is, how was it disbursed?
Well, yeah,
who were those who got the money?
Well, that's another point, because corruption along the line was there, and everybody was involved. But some of the farmers, very few of the farmers got, and the bulk of the money went to people that were not actually farmers.
All right, let's quickly let's quickly look at what we can do, because the essence of this program is, to come up with, for you to help
solutions.
us come up, with ways that we can, promote national cohesion. And I would like for us to begin to look at maybe specific, like the Reverend Father said earlier on, specific values that we really need to put out to the public, that will engender a kind of social change and attitudinal change. And I'm saying this because the pool of Nigeria in different directions by different groups, giving us different understanding. We don't have the same, perception
Of Nigeria.
We do not all believe in one Nigeria. I mean, different groups have their own perception of what Nigeria is. So if we all have one goal, one understanding of what Nigeria is, that will move off, bring us closer together. But where you have different Islamic, extremists pulling the country apart, elements in Southeast having their own understanding, Niger Delta having their understanding, for heaven's sake, what kind of Nigeria are we expecting? So can we begin to give out some specific values of what we want?
Nigeria is our country, and the older generation should be able to project what Nigeria was and give some confidence to people who don't believe in Nigeria. You speak about extremists from all ends.
Yes.
But there are others that are not extremists. They don't see any. You tell them to sacrifice today for tomorrow. They see, the leaders of tomorrow see no tomorrow for them, because they don't believe in Nigeria. So it is our responsibility to begin to show them what Nigeria should be, what Nigeria is to me, and everybody has a role to play. Not only religious leaders, but every other person has a role to play in projecting the Nigeria that we want. And it is possible to have that Nigeria. It's good that we have a leadership that is aware of that and is working towards solving that problem, because he said in his inaugural speech that he recognized all the problems, and he has plans for how to bring about the renewed hope. For I think it's in tandem with what we are discussing. So let us support the government in that, and to be able to give confidence to the younger ones and see life from their own prism.
Yes, but a value that you just raised,
Yes,
is the need for the older generation,
yes,
to remind us,
yes,
of the Nigerian project.
yes.
Father Ame, what's your perspective?
Okay, to begin, I'd like to say that it is a sad reality that many Nigerians no longer believe in Nigeria. But that is a problem. Anybody who is forward thinking should not stay with a problem. Identify a problem and think of how to fix that problem. And I think that's the essence of this discussion. We have observed that there is a problem of lack
Identity.
of national unity. And we are having this conversation to make proposals, suggestions, recommendations on how to fix that problem. One of the lines in the national pledge is, we promise to defend Nigeria's unity. That's one of the
Uphold
things.
her honor.
Yes, and defend our unity. That's one of the things we promise when we recite the national pledge. And I like to say to all Nigerians that regardless of whatever the situation is like, we don't have another country. We don't. We can go anywhere, stay anywhere for how long, but as it is said, east or west, north or south,
Home is the best.
home is the best. So somehow we will still find our way back here, if not us, our children.
Okay.
So we will have to believe in this country somehow and find ways to fix it. We are not going to expect Cameroonians to come and fix Nigeria. It is not Togolese that will fix Nigeria. It is Nigerians that will fix Nigeria. And I would like to say that one place we can start with or start from is to promote again the value of honesty. In the pledge, we say that I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest. Because of this dishonesty, a lot of things have gone wrong. A lot of things have gone wrong. Growing up, one of the things our parents told us, our teachers told us, our catechism teachers in church told us is honesty is the best policy. Today, we don't talk about honesty anymore. We want to talk about how to grab and grab and grab, regardless of how we are doing the grabbing, legitimately or illegitimately. And that is not helping our situation. It is not helping national unity. We must begin to promote again that value of honesty. And honesty here does not refer just to management of financial resources. Honesty in all things. Honesty in my dealing with you in academics, that you get a grade in your exams, I give you that grade. I don't have to ask you to do something else before I give you the grade you deserve. Honesty on the road, that the traffic light says red and I stop because I respect the other person who has the right of way. Honesty in everything. Honesty in management of our environment, that I don't litter the streets, that I don't heap refuse where I shouldn't. Honesty in all things. If you begin to promote this value of honesty, then I think we'll begin to see positivity and see light and hope that somehow we have lost.
Many thanks, Reverend Father AJ, for your thought there. Honesty, of course, is key, and maybe I should add that celebrating excellence would also go a long way, irrespective of tribe, religion, or political affiliations. If you celebrate excellence, I think a lot of people will be willing to give their best in whatever it is that they do. But I'll get to Dr. Momale now, Salim Momale. I do not know if you got my previous question before the interruption in your connection, but I would still like you to speak, as regards, the questions I asked you earlier, and then also give us your own view about what we can do to get it right in terms of national cohesion.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you raised very critical questions, and there was a lot of discourse from the other two participants, Reverend Father Eme and Abubakar Siddiq. I will mix the two, just trying to provide a way out while also responding. And I will start from the lighter one, education. I think there is no gainsaying that education is the foundation that builds the heart, mind, thoughts, and philosophies of individuals, right from the formative age. So unless we give education that level of attention it deserves and create quality young people, both in terms of knowledge, skills, ways of thinking, philosophy of life, ideology of life, to create that sense of patriotism, honesty, integrity, and grow up our young populations with these ideals, there is no way we can get it right. People, societies, and communities that educate and bring out the best of their citizens, those citizens will not engage in corruption, those citizens will not engage in banditry, they will not engage in all these social vices we are seeing. So the foundation is basically education. The normal conventional education systems, our faith-based education systems, and the type of societal orientation we provide to our young people is key. And I think Nigeria has not accorded sufficient attention to this. And we are always appealing. What we are doing here in Kaduna State is to try to form this broad network between the policymakers in the education system, our various faith-based institutions, and our faith-based organizations to come together to work with the regulatory bodies of our educational system to sit and design an education system that will give us the type of citizens that we want. citizens that are technologically sound, young populations that are morally upright, and that have, the vision and aspirations of a Nigeria. And that also means that as a country, as Nigeria, we must develop our common vision for all the citizens. What does Nigeria want to see itself? What does every citizen have to contribute in making Nigeria what it wants to see of itself? So we have to do this. And education, social orientation, and engagement with our young populations is the key. The second aspect, which you also mentioned, relates to the issue of resources. Of course, all over the world, within Nigeria and everywhere, everybody will not say that Nigeria is a resource-poor nation. That's not correct. Nigeria is a resource-rich nation. We have huge potentials. But potentials are different. Realities on the ground are different. What is the level of productivity of our agricultural sector? Of course, we have the vast potentials. Abubakar Siddiq mentioned about the anchor borrower scheme, the rice revolution, which we try to say, the increase in the marginal increase in the productivity of our maize and other crops. Yet, are we even halfway with what exists elsewhere? Have we exploited even 25% of our agricultural potentials? The truth is no. Our livestock industry is still traditional. Our cropping systems are still traditional. Our harvesting systems are still traditional. Our processing, post-harvest processing systems are still traditional. And we have a lot of potentials to inject this. Sadly, we do not grow our indigenous agricultural technology. We will always want to import agricultural technology. Why can't we grow our own? Why can't we have many of these small, simple agricultural tools manufactured, our agrochemicals? Why can't we produce them in our country? So these are the issues. Yes, the resources are vast, the potentials are enormous, but the level to which we have capitalized, we have developed, and we are utilizing these resources is still very, very low. So what I said is that the level of resources at the disposal of government, vis-a-vis the need of the citizens, vis-a-vis the needs of development, is very low, and that is a fact. Take the budget of any state government, the total annual budget of any state government. Just think of 2 or 3 sectors. Let's say the state says, I will provide world-class primary health care service, world-class primary education, world-class secondary education.
Dr. Mamale, I'm sorry, we are almost running out of time. We need to, take a few more, 1 or 2 more questions before we round off our conversation. And I would like, both Abubakar Sadiq and Reverend Father Ame to also look at this. How can we, because earlier this morning, Imre came in and said, oh, I thought you were a Muslim. She said to me, I thought you were a Muslim. That's what she said to me. And that, took my mind to building community trust, local trust, because building national cohesion starts, at that level. How can we build local trust? Probably through contractual relationships, shared events, and all that. And is there a way we can learn 1 or 2 things from the military? Probably integrating 1 or 2 military stints in our educational curriculum. I mean, that happens in other parts of the country. Let's start from Reverend Father Ahmed.
Yeah, we can only build trust when we engage with each other. We can't do that from afar, and we can't do that when we are apart. So if we must build trust, we must engage. And if we must engage, we must create platforms for such engagement. And such platforms should be inclusive, such that it brings people of different political affiliations, different religious backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds together and do things that are common to all, in such a manner that during this period of engagement, people get to see themselves better, people get to know themselves better. One of such things we can do is sports. And another of such things we can do is community festivals.
Precisely.
And another thing that can be done is community social activities, such as maybe cleaning the environment, so that people in every community come together. Let's put our environment in order. And when we are doing this, all of us will come together, work as members of one community.
Yes,
and,
so we're running out of time.
right.
Yes.
I think the question was, I thought you were a Muslim. Maybe you did something that she thought a Muslim may not do, and you have done it. And I think in the question also you spoke about shared ceremonies and so on. I will go back to what the Reverend has said, honesty. Well, let us relate with one another, Muslims and Christians, with honesty, with open hearts and hands. Let's know the limits that I cannot as a Muslim cross, because I should not leave my Christian brother to assume anything. Let him know that this is my position. I respect his position, but I have a limit in my religion that I may not do 1, 2, 3.
All right, thank you. I think we would have to leave the conversation at that point because of time. We've actually run out of time.
Sorry, Inri. The other leg, just a few minutes. I don't know if we can take that. Is there anything we can learn from the military? You know, because if you look at the military, they teach, you know, a lot of cohesion and cooperation. Is there anything we can learn from them?
No. That's the point I'm making.
Yes.
We can learn anything from anywhere because knowledge is vast. But when it comes to religion, the Muslim has certain restrictions and certain boundaries that he cannot cross.
Thank you so much, Abubakar Siddiq Mohammed, Islamic scholar. Thank you for your thoughts, and thank you for joining us on Good Morning Nigeria today. Reverend Father Sylvanus Ahmed Eje, the Catholic Archdiocese of a priest of the Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja and Director of Radio Maria Abuja. Many thanks for joining us for the conversation. And of course, Dr. Saleh Momale, Peace Commission Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna State. Many thanks for your time and being a part of Good Morning Nigeria today. We appreciate you. Of course, that's Good Morning Nigeria today. This Boxing Day, I didn't get a gift from Claire, but I'll make sure I get it somehow. I'm Ian Ray. See you tomorrow.
All right, and I'm Claire Adelabu Abdul Rasak. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
We believe in peaceful coexistence with each other and with our environment.
We believe that it is wrong to destroy our biodiversity, which is God's gift to us.
We all depend on the beautiful animals and plants that keep our planet alive.